everybody, welcome back, Sainted Licks for Sinners part 4, and today I decided to do a little special for you. So we don't talk about a Sainted Sinners song, but we talk about the technique of tapping, because I got asked some questions, especially how to keep the tapping clean. Okay, so I thought I'd show you some exercises, some little exercises, as well as, you know, show you very detailed how I do it with my right and my left hand. And okay, so I hope this will be helpful, and next week we're gonna continue with some Sainted Sinner stuff. Okay, so today's special for tapping. Okay, first of all, what is tapping? I think most of you guys who play guitar already know what tapping is. For those of you who don't know, it's a technique where you use, besides your fretting hand, also your right hand to fret notes on the fretboard by tapping on a certain fret, you know, like for example the 19th fret here on the high E string. You know, this is a tap. Okay, this can be done either by your first finger or your second finger. You know, I tend to use actually both fingers depending on what I play. But if I play a long tapping part, I always use my first finger to do the tapping. Because that brings us to the next point. I think if you use the first finger, you have the advantage of putting your thumb here on the low strings, and you know, you really have total control to make sure all the other strings that you don't play at the moment are muted, which is actually the question that I got: how do I keep the tapping parts clean? That's very important, and you can use both of your hands. Actually, you should use both of your hands to make sure that always just that string where you play on is possible to make a sound. Okay, so for example, if I play on the high E string, the palm of my right hand is laying on all the other strings, and also, as said, my thumb is here on the low string. So all the other strings can't ring besides the high E string. And this brings us to the first exercise I want to show you, which is very basic, very simple. You do a tap with your tapping finger, can be the first or the second, it's up to you, on the 19th fret. Then you fret the 12th fret on the high E string and do a pull off from there, and then a hammer on the 15th fret. Okay, so it's, and it's totally clean because all the other strings can't ring. Okay, so, and the first exercise I'm going to show you is we do this twice. And then do the same thing on the B string. So therefore, I just slightly move my hand this way, okay, to make sure the B string is clean, is open now. And for the high E string, how is this going to be muted? This is muted with the first finger here, because the way I fret it here, it's not possible that the high E string can make a sound. Okay, so it's, okay, same thing twice, so we have, okay, then G string, same principle, you know, I move my hand slightly, so make sure the G string can ring, and now my first finger here makes sure to just fret the 12th fret here on the G string, and the other strings are muted, you know. Okay, so now we do 19 again for the tapping, 12, and then 16. Okay, so it's a little wider stretch here. Continue the same thing on the D string. So we have the first pattern we had on the A string. And now, if you see, besides the first finger here, who is muting the higher strings, also the rest of my fingers, like the little finger and so on, are resting here on the high strings. So it's, you know, super safe that the other strings can't ring. Okay, so as you see. Okay, and we do the same pattern as on the E and on the B string. And again on the high E string. On the low E string, sorry. So we have okay. This is the first exercise. So, you know, fast it would sound like this. But it's not important, you know, if you learn the technique to play it fast in the beginning. Play it very slow like I did and make sure it's very clean. That's much more important. And then to get it fast is not a big problem if you once managed the technique and made sure all the strings that you don't want to ring, to mute them. Okay, so to keep it very clean. That's the most important, you know. Exercise number 2 is going to be a little bit more difficult because now we also include the open strings to our tapping pattern. That means besides muting all the strings we don't play on, we also have to make sure that one string we play on is totally free and open to ring. Okay, otherwise we get some unwanted dead notes by maybe touching it somewhere, okay, with one of the other fingers. So the pattern for this exercise is 12 on the high E string, tap, pull off to the open string, hammer on to the 3rd fret, hammer on to the 7th fret, tap again, pull off to the 7th, pull off to the 3rd, and to the open. Okay, so we do the same thing on the B string. And now you see how the other fingers of my right hand here are resting where the high E string is to make sure it cannot ring. Okay, then on the G string we change from 3 to 4. Other frets are the same. And you see how I move my hand slightly, so now these fingers are also keeping the B string and the E string under control. Same pattern on the D string. And then for the A string we continue with the first pattern we had. So again the 3rd fret. And you also see how my first finger here, as soon as I pull off to the open string, it rests here to make sure these strings are muted. And then low E string, same as on the high string. Okay, so all together. Okay, so you also will have tabs for these 2 exercises in the item description or in the video description on YouTube, so there you can download it. Okay. Besides that, I hope these little exercises were helpful, you know, especially to make sure about the muting of the strings while tapping to make it totally clean. It's very basic stuff, very basic patterns and exercises, but first practice them very slowly and then make sure if they're totally clean and you're totally comfortable with the technique itself, then build up the speed. Okay, that's important. Okay, next week we're going to continue with some Sainted Sinners music from the back catalog, and I hope to see you there. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks to all the subscribers, appreciate very much, and I'm looking forward to see you next week. Thanks.